Welcome to Conscious Reconstruction. I'm the host with the most, Tony Melbourne. And first, I'd like to start this episode with saying rest in peace to Ma'Khia Bryant. We're going to go ahead and dive into a debate between me and Katrina on this.
Was she about to stab somebody in the throat? Answer that, yes or no.
I don't know.
You saw the video, right?
No.
Yeah, she was. So she went in the house. Somebody called the police. I don't know if it was her or it was her mama. Whoever called the police. I said whoever.
All right, so let me give you the backstory and the story and all the facts, and then you can give me your opinion.
Okay.
So what happened is this girl, Ma'Khia Bryant, was being bullied by this group of girls. They had come to her house several times before and attacked this girl. So they come to this girl's house this time and are jumping her. And so her little sister calls the cops. As she's fighting and everything, she happens to get the upper hand and is getting the girls off of her, and an adult steps in and kicks her off of one of the other girls. And it's like, no, we ain't gonna have none of that. And then that's when she gets a weapon, because now it's adults and children against this child who is defending herself. So no, you meeting deadly force with that isn't the first thing that you should have done.
I have a question. The cop that rolled up on them, does he know that full backstory? Every time when you roll up on every time when you roll up on a scene, right? And somebody has a knife out about to stab somebody, do you know their backstory?
I know that my taser's going to drop you.
Do I know that you're 15 years old?
I know my taser's going to drop you.
No, not always. No, it doesn't always drop somebody. What if he had a miss? What if he had a miss?
What if I miss? Wait, can I ask a question?
Go.
You said if he missed. What if I miss with my gun and I shoot the other girl that she's trying to stab? So if I miss with the taser, I could also miss with my regular handgun.
You got one shot with a taser.
You can change the cartridge out.
So either he would have stabbed her and killed her, and she would have still been dead, or facing murder charges. Am I correct?
We're actually we exist. We actually exist inside of a stand your ground state.
That's fine. That's stand your ground. But what I'm saying to you is that
she wouldn't have gone to jail.
She wouldn't have gone to jail. That means her self-defense has actually been
attacked her.
Okay.
So she was in the right.
Did she go inside to get that knife, or did she just pull it out?
You also have the right to defend your actual home.
I understand that, but they had time to call the police and nobody intervened, right? There was about 10 to 15 adults just standing around videotaping, correct?
But that doesn't mean that he should have killed her.
But yeah, it does. If you have a knife out and you're about to kill somebody and I roll up on you and I tell you to stop and get on the ground and you don't, then yes, it's fair game. It's black and white.
I'm going to use my taser. Police should have better training to know how to de-escalate. If your job is to de-escalate the situation.
If I roll up,
your job
and I try to de-escalate the situation, I tell you to stop.
Your job at all points is to de-escalate the situation. So
I'm supposed to treat you with kitty gloves. If I tell you to, wait a minute, if I roll up and I tell you to stop.
Yes, you should treat a child with kitty gloves.
We don't know she was a child. If I roll up,
how do you know he doesn't know that?
If I roll up and I tell you to stop, put the knife down, and you don't, then it is what it is.
No.
Yeah. That's how the real world works. Y'all want to treat just like that 13-year-old that got shot up in Chicago that was shooting up houses. Should I treat him with kitty gloves?
They actually were wrong, and the killing was unjustified for him.
But people were trying to unjustify it, saying that the police were wrong. They were about to riot. So if he had to kill somebody, right?
But the police were still wrong. What you're saying is that all people, if they do something bad, should be met with death. Let me finish. Let me finish. Let me get my points out, because don't interrupt. Because that's what you're saying. What you're saying is, because he could have done such and such and such, death was permissible. Because she could have done such and such and such, death was permissible. Because these things could or did happen, death is permissible. And, okay, I'm not arguing that death is potentially an option or an outcome. Sure, you can be right in that point. What I'm saying is that police should have better training, should have more nuance in dealing with situations, because that's their job.
Of course.
When I signed up for the military, I knew that I was going to risk my life, put my life on the line. That was something I signed up for. You know what police do? Sign up for the exact same fucking thing. So you can't then come say, well, what was he supposed to do? Put his life at risk? Yes, because that's your fucking job. That is no. Let me finish, because that is literally your fucking job. When I'm a firefighter, my job is literally to run into a fucking burning building and try and rescue other people. You know what that? But you know what that is doing? Putting my life at fucking. Let me finish my point. Let me finish my point. Right. I got it. Because that is me putting my life at risk.
Oh, okay.
That's me choosing to, but that's because I signed up to do this.
Okay.
And so if I sign up to do this, then I need to be fully willing to go the full spectrum. It's not that I can be, I was nervous, so I didn't really want to go in there. So
he wasn't worried about his life at that time. He was worried about the girl that was pinned to the car. He doesn't know the story.
But I said, but he has a trainer. He has a taser. So I would use my taser.
Okay.
I've been on the other end of a taser willingly, and I know the stopping power of it. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure it could have stopped a 15-year-old little girl.
I don't know. She's 15 when I roll up. That girl was big as fuck. I don't know she's 15.
So because she's bigger, she deserves to die? What do you say?
I'm looking at perspective. If I roll up on the scene, I don't know your backstory. I don't know your sob story.
But what is that? I'm not saying anything. I'm saying you should use a taser.
Everybody's using this as an excuse. And Personally, he was in the right.
What excuse?
He was in the right.
No,
his deadly force met her deadly force. If I tell you to put down a knife and you don't,
okay, I heard
he is justified.
Name my excuse. What excuse did I give?
She's 15.
There's been 15
years that died.
That's a fact. That's not an excuse.
Yeah, but it's an excuse. 15-years commit murder every day. So let's not say, she's only 15. I'm not saying those adults, they should be charged too. Those adults that came to charge her should be charged too. Every adult that sat around and just videotape should be charged too. That mother, that foster mother in there just watching and calling those girls should be charged too. Let's start holding everybody else accountable also, because she would still be alive had adults intervened. And that's where I'm going to put it at.
Those are two separate conversations.
Those are not two separate conversations.
It is.
A kid is dead because adults didn't intervene. That was the truth.
That's true.
Did people just stand around and videotape? Absolutely. So I'm going to hold everybody in that fucking situation accountable. Was the officer wrong? No.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done. That's all I have to say about that.
Cool. So no, you can hold people accountable. That's fine. All the adults there should be held accountable. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not absolving them of responsibility for this situation. All I'm saying is that police probably should have better training and not just shoot people immediately. He could have used his taser and chose not to. You don't have to meet deadly force, and it was a butter knife. So
I've seen people die during a butter knife, but that's a different story. Go ahead.
The amount of effort that it would take to kill someone with a butter knife is also very high.
I've seen somebody get stabbed with a butter knife.
True. You could have got she could have got stabbed.
I'm saying the amount.
All I know is why not use your taser?
I don't know. Ask the officer.
But that's the issue. That's my only issue. The only issue is that you didn't use your taser. Your intent shouldn't be to go into a situation to kill people.
No, it wasn't. It was. All I saw was her attacking another girl with a knife. My intent wasn't to go over there and kill her, was it? No.
Yes, you shot her in the chest.
Yeah.
So
she had a weapon in her hand.
And then you can't argue that your shot isn't to kill.
On my way to the scene, I'm gonna kill a 15-year-old girl.
That's not the same thing.
Yeah, it is.
No, I didn't say that you planned to murder her. Yeah. So what you're saying?
But y'all living in a dream world where things are cookie cutter and 15-year-olds don't get shot and 15-year-olds don't commit murder.
No,
it's kind of like
all those things happen.
But I would also say 15-years commit murder at a significantly reduced rate than adults.
Absolutely. So but I'm saying it does happen.
Okay.
So let's not just like I mentioned the 13-year-old and everybody's making an excuse like, he's just a kid.
1%
women lie about rape too.
Absolutely, and they should go to jail.
But that's not the points that we should be arguing on and saying, this small percentage of people lie about rape. So we should dismiss all the women that have cases or feel away about rape culture and the things that happen in this country. No, we should do that just because a small percentage lie about rape. Mm-hmm. So yes, you're right that a small percentage of 15-year-olds are out here killing people. Sure, let's go on with that point. But that doesn't absolve the cop of having some level of, hey, let me handle this situation and look to de-escalate. And what is the non-lethal way to de-escalate the situation? The fact that you immediately go to the lethal solution is the issue. It's not that he went there and just planned, oh yeah, today I'm going to kill me a 15-year-old. That's not what I'm saying.
But people are making it seem.
But I'm not arguing that point. What I'm saying is,
he should have de-escalated the situation.
Your job is to de-escalate a situation. If you're not going to de-escalate a situation, then you shouldn't be a police officer. Just because your life can be at risk while you're de-escalating the situation, that's something that you signed up for.
It wasn't him, though. It was somebody else on the end of that knife. So that part...
A police officer's job is not to administer justice. It is to actually just bring people...
Like I said, I stand on what I said.
I actually haven't vocalized a single thing that I've said.
I mean, but that's just me. Go ahead, Charles.
I've said the police officer's job is not to administer justice. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, it's not his call whether or not he gets to kill somebody to save someone else's life. That's not the way that it necessarily works. Like, your goal isn't to go out there and make sure no one dies. But also at the end of the day, I can understand. It's just like, my overall problem with it is you probably shouldn't went for a shot on center mass because, one, that's a high risk shot because you could have hit the girl that you're trying to save. Mm-hmm. So you probably should have went for a shot on the leg or something. That would have definitely de-escalated the problem, because someone getting shot, you're gonna stop and you're going to stop. No one this isn't the movies. You don't randomly take through trauma. Like, adrenaline will take you through for a hot second. But he could have shot her in the leg. He could have used a taser. I understand a lot of cops don't have like tear gas or ability. He could have maced her. He could have did a lot of things. Mm-hmm. Mace would have broken that situation up just like anything else. Mm. It's just like, and that's overall my situation thing with it. Now, do I believe that he is probably going to go to jail for this one? Probably not.
I'll say this. Police managed to apprehend white criminals that have guns, knives, assault rifles, carbines, a litany of weapons, and bring them in without having to take their life, regardless of the fact that they're in the process of taking a life, they're being apprehended and stopped from taking a life. They somehow managed to preserve that person's life.
And there also have been black people that have been apprehended with knives and guns and all types of shit. So, I mean, was it the same police officer?
I'm saying that it's generally
does happen, absolutely.
Not the rule for us.
It absolutely happens, Tony. I get that.
Oh,
but is it the same
What you keep trying to do is tell me about outliers when I'm speaking about generality. So if you want to tell me about outliers, that's fine. But
that's not outliers. I'm just speaking in general. There's people that get apprehended with knives, with guns. I understand what you're saying. No,
but what you said is there's black people too, and those are generally more outlier situations. Is what I'm saying.
There are.
Yeah, but that's an outlier. Is what I'm saying. It doesn't happen as often. It's not per capita the main thing.
Okay.
So yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
There's plenty of killers on cell block. Okay.
I mean, someone going to jail for murder doesn't necessarily mean that they had a gun when they actually went into
thing.
I mean, someone going to jail for murder doesn't even necessarily mean that they committed the murder. It means
with a gun.
They were tried for it. So it's like, someone being in jail does not necessarily equate to guilt. That's like, it means it's a really weird thing. And also the amount of mistrials, the amount of improperly things.
I never said that. I just say, yeah, that happens a lot. Plenty of people with knives, guns get apprehended. I mean, hey, every officer is different.
Yeah. And
that's
actually kind of problematic.
Yeah, they need to be more unified and have a unilateral set of behaviors where life preservation is part of that structure.
Tantamount.
Okay.
Also, probably maybe we don't call the police for this situation.
No, I will not disagree. That's not a police situation.
Let's rely on the community.
No,
that's what we said. Or a Peace Corps.
We've
Talking about,
had this conversation. We've had this conversation
I'm saying the
before.
community like a Peace Corps that works beside the community,
that's why I'm saying,
works on the offset.
That's why I'm saying we had this situation before.
So
this is the reason why we need to segment up the
structured organization.
Oh, okay.
What?
Yeah.
It's like
hopefully that works.
I mean, it already is working.
It's working
for San Francisco
and in Atlanta. There's a list of numbers that they have on there.
Atlanta has one of the highest. The crime rate has gone up in Atlanta.
Okay, but when you introduce something new, it takes a level of adoption. Things don't just happen. Just like how you keep telling me about the AI is going to take over and how it's going to take some time, but it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Same thing.
Okay.
I mean,
that is your opinion.
Well, I mean, adoption takes time. I don't necessarily think that's an opinion. That's more so of a fact.
I mean, no, I'm talking about with the whole police and everything else. I'm like, hey, y'all are open to your opinion. I have mine.
I mean, as of right now, crime rate and for the most part, gun violence and a lot of these things are like, it's just factual. It's an issue with our police aren't trained enough to deal with the situation.
No, I agree with that. Police aren't trained enough. They do need retraining. I agree with you on that part.
We are willing to do this level of reprogramming inside of the military because, like, after observing a lot of people who have gone through the military life, their entire intention is to break you down and completely and totally reprogram you to the point where you do this job and you do this job well. And I'm not saying that America hasn't committed any war crimes or anything like that, but when you have someone inside of an active war zone who has a longer checklist than a cop, then I think we have a disparity that probably needs to be addressed. And my other issue is both of those things are technically governed by the same branch of the government. So police are underneath executive branch, military is under executive branch. So it means we know we've seen this be a thing. We can have problems with the way we execute our invasions and who we invade, but for the most part, once we're over there, it's like there are errant shootings and things like that do happen. There is collateral damage.
But there's a whole lot of rules.
But there is for some reason, it's just like when military people are engaging, it seems like they have a whole lot more tact and a whole lot more. I mean, hell, you even see it with cops who have been inside the military prior to being inside of that. It's just like, it's always the cops who are career cops who didn't convert from another thing. It's just really odd. Now, speaking to like the overall crime rate by city, I think honestly Detroit still has the highest crime rate of
Absolutely. This whole mayor election thing with Keisha Lance Bottoms and the crime rate is one of the biggest topics right now as far as Atlanta goes. And it's not the place as when I was growing up. My father lived in Atlanta. It's not the place to go as it used to be.
I mean, I don't think that I look at it as necessarily as like the place to go. I just think
I don't know about San Francisco. Sorry.
Just like, I think there's just change, and I still see like a lot of opportunity. I know a lot of people that are like based in Atlanta that are doing pretty well, that like speak of it actively and things like that. And so they're the ones that like told me about the hotlines and things like that.
Yeah, I have family
also
there.
From what I've seen, actually, you are more likely to die in every single city in Ohio before you're willing to die.
Economically, well,
Atlanta.
No, I'm talking about where I grew up and my experience. I'm not talking about what the news articles is writing. I'm talking about what's actually happening.
Oh no, I'm not looking at news articles. I'm looking at crime rates.
I mean, that's nice and everything, but I'm saying what's actually happening, what I know is transpiring. It's not the city that it used to be.
All cities go through ups and downs.
This a Rolls Royce just got shot up the other week. Like, it's not. Atlanta. I don't know if it's due because of hip hop culture. I don't know, and I think it's wrong to just blame that. But it's a lot of things going on in Atlanta. I would personally never move there.
Oh, I mean, my bar on places that I will be willing to move is very, very,
right,
very, very.
And it's sad because it used to be the black, Mecca, like business. Like my dad started his business down there. It's just not. Except when out-of-towners started going there in droves, it's just like...
I mean, I would say it still is the black mecca for business.
It is.
There isn't really a substitute in that.
It is.
But it's like, I don't know. It's just one of those things, but also just kind of like, it's not even considered to be, it doesn't even have like, it's not in the 100 most dangerous city. Cleveland's there, Toledo's there.
No, but from what it used to be,
I mean,
it's going up. It's not going down, Charles, is what I'm saying. It's gotten pretty bad.
And what I'm saying, things are going to vary. Crime rates are going to go up and crime rates are going to go down.
Well, it's not going down within the last few years.
I mean, 2 years out of, how long has Atlanta been a city?
Few,
how long has Atlanta been a city?
Like, I don't know.
256 years or something like that. So the crime rate going up out of 256. So if you look statistically, it's still an aberration. Mm-hmm. So if it goes up for 10 years and then goes back down, it's still within the range.
But I don't like this whole narrative of this is working when it's clearly not, because that's one of the highest topics that Keisha Bottom's facing right now. So let's not say...
Well, I think crime rate is exploding everywhere right now.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that has a lot to do with if there is a lot of people that generally commit crimes to live. Mm-hmm. And the way they commit those crimes is robbing and shit like that. Mm-hmm. All last year, they really couldn't get to the shits. Because even if they want to go robbing and shit like that, ain't nobody outside.
And what crime rate's going up? Violent crime, petty crime?
Violent. No, not petty violent. So this is just me.
But because people are more desperate now.
But we're not talking about just COVID related.
I mean, I will say
before that.
I don't think they're COVID related crimes. I'm sure that the city was probably experiencing higher crime rates with the emergence of, and shit, I'll say the fact that they have really loose gun laws down there where you can all be toting Dracos and ARs just in your car and shit like that, no problem. And the emergence of a hip hop and youth and gang activity. So I can say that that's probably added to it because I recognize that there's beef inside of Atlanta and shit like that.
I'm not solely, blaming.
I mean, I've heard we talked about, I don't know if you were here for that episode, Sahai. He got his car shot up. He was in Atlanta.
Was that
He was in Atlanta. He was driving around and they chased him. His car flipped over.
Right. Now you got middle class residents complaining. But this ties into what you're saying.
But I'm saying, so I think that is definitely something that is an issue because he was like, this isn't the city where I grew up and I feel scared for my life at times now where I don't know who wants to kill me. But I feel like...
But I've also contributed to the fact
that comes with any major city. What Atlanta experiencing right now is what
New York has been living with.
New York had to live through, what LA had to go through, where once you hit that real high population density and things like that, you're going to go through a period of where it's like I'm from California, so niggas getting it popping and is something that I'm used to. That's par for the course.
I have a question. Do you agree with them, a lot of residents pushing back on hip hop culture and taking it out of their neighborhoods? They want to implement a law saying, with studios and everything else, if you have more than 2 cars and you're parked outside, then you can get fined or arrested.
No, I don't agree.
I mean, you can't.
I understand,
but I don't agree.
You can't control what people do on their own property.
But they're trying to pass that law. That's why they want to kick Keisha Lance Bottom out of politics.
I saw that and her talking about it, and she was one of the people talking about doing it, actually. Mm-hmm. And hip hop was like,
they got upset.
Yeah, but which I can understand. Hip hop is one of the reasons that
it's one of the pillars that you built your entire city on.
Yeah,
it's quintessentially
are one of the mainstays and why y'all are popping.
Understand, but at the same time, it's become a detriment. At the same time, I get what you're saying. Yes, you built our city up. Yes, but if I'm having crimes and it's getting worse, it's not getting better, and you're contributing to that crime, like what?
That's not.
Then you're but the weird thing about that is if you do that, that means you force it more underground, and then you force it to deal with more criminal elements, and then you actually possibly exacerbate the problem, not fixing it.
I mean, I'm just thinking if I was a resident in a certain area and I have to deal with your fuck ass,
Clientele.
Yeah, I got to deal with that. My property value goes down. I got to deal with your loud ass music. I got to deal with fucking shooting outside. I've already dealt with this in Cleveland. I don't know. Like, it's just, I get both sides of the coin. I don't know. I just want to see how that turns out.
It's a catch-22 because, all right, this is a pillar that allowed your property to go up to the value that it is to begin with. But I kind of have a similar problem to this that I have with tech companies divorcing themselves from sex workers at that point. You allow them, you use them to build something up, and then you kick them out.
Right.
It's very problematic. And instead of just dealing with the culture or rectifying the culture and understanding that this is also part.
Now, can I go to sex work? I didn't really get to. I missed one thing last week the other week I want to say. I don't agree with the glamorization of sex work. I don't agree with that part. You got all these celebrities, doing sex work, and that's why it's being regulated now like heavy. That's a part that people don't want to discuss. But now you got little kids starting OnlyFans and then people making it popular. I'm just like, well, OnlyFans been around for 6+ years, But that's all I wanted to say about that. I don't think it's fair to the little, sex workers that are just being sex workers. But
but my point on that situation at the hand was you can't use something to build it up and then ditch it. You got to fix it. You have to take the problems that come along. You got to take the cream that comes along with the milk.
I agree. Yeah.
So you got and also the thing is you have fundamental influential people that are in Atlanta because a lot of the money in Atlanta is also within the hip hop sphere. So more than likely you're not going to win a campaign without some of that money. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, in politics, money walks and bullshit. Like, money talks, bullshit walks. So, more than likely, if the hip hop people want to actually throw their money behind somebody and say, yo, we'll give you like $10 million to just squash this, it's just going to be squashed.
I don't know. I want to see how this all ends.
Also, it's an election year, so it means people are tending to be very, very hyperbolic at this point in time.
Did y'all hear that, what's her name? It's the Jenner.
Oh,
Caitlyn?
Yeah, she's running for
they're trying to
California.
replace the current governor of California.
Yeah, she wants to run.
I don't think he's actually going to be replaced.
No.
So
I just thought it was interesting that Caitlyn was like, I'm going to do this.
She's not going to win.
No.
She's not. First of all, Republicans... As much as a Republican, some things I agree with what she said, but Republicans are not going to vote for a transgender Republican. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen.
That's also a very sad but true statement.
Yeah. Even though she does have some points, I'm just like, you're not.
They don't like you.
They don't. Yeah, they're very conservative. They don't like. They may tolerate you. I'm not saying that. They're not going to kill you,
and
anything.
they'll placate to you because they'll think they're voter base. But
and there's nothing wrong with being trans and conservative. If you want to be conservative and trans, that's fine. You can agree with some conservative values or blah blah blah. But
as long as they keep their religion out of politics and things of that nature, I don't typically have too much of an issue with conservatism because the core of conservatism is that you want
small government.
Yes. Even though people can argue with the way America's set up, the government can never really be small because we're not a small country. So
that's a whole other conversation.
I have a question.
What's up?
How do y'all feel about people in the government saying that the United States isn't a racist country, like our vice president?
That's bullshit.
It's
bad. Why do we have to pass laws pertaining Asian Americans and Black people? And
because it's quintessential. This is an entire odd conversation because, like, law is written and we're already protected. If you want to be technical about
No,
things.
but I'm just saying, like,
why are you saying it's not a racist country? Because it's not a politically savvy thing to say. Call it a spade in politics will not keep your job.
you ever heard how rich people talk about people in politics?
Yeah,
They talk about them like they're the help.
they are.
Wait a minute, what?
So have you ever heard rich people talk about people in politics?
Oh yeah.
They talk about their butlers.
They control a lot. Oh yeah, all the time.
Well, because of the excessive amount of money that it requires to run a political campaign, and they know they have the money.
He's going to run for governor. Yeah, that's the next step. That's how they talk. Like, not even give him an option. Like, no, if I throw money at you, you're going to run for governor.
Yeah, they treat. It's a very interesting thing. Rich people treat politics like boosters treat college sports.
It's a good analogy.
Do you think that the general public should have a more understanding of that aspect of politics?
Yes.
Because if you look at the middle class and lower class, they look at politicians with this like reverence and like fervor, like he's a politician, or how would he do something like that? And
But
they've never watched.
How many semi-rich people or rich people do they know that?
Most people don't have a varied point of view in this. So, like, I've existed inside very different circles.
Exactly.
Like, I've existed around the heads of, like, hospitals, and I've also been inside of the hood.
my uncle is a lobbyist for California.
So it's just like...
And has been a lobbyist
God knows how long.
Since I was like 4.
How is that? That's a sucky job.
The way he described his uncle, he out here balling.
My uncle
No, I didn't say he wasn't out here balling.
Well, he's a lobbyist for like social services and things like that. So he's just always been doing whatever he was. He's always had like the nicest car, the nicest and biggest house. When I was young, like I was like maybe 8, he had a pool that had a waterfall in it. Like just that changed colors, just random shit is like.
I've had many conversations with Tony about this. That's like he has scoped his part of his like overall viewpoint about an entire subculture of people. It's just like, what's wrong with them?
Do you think playing politics like how Kamala Harris did
is damaging?
It's damaging, but I gotta get reelected.
I think it's getting more and more damaging now. Like I don't know. Like back in the day, playing politics was
a par for the course.
But also back in the day, how many of our parents do you think were having this nuance of a conversation about politicians being full of shit and us not really talking about them and thinking about how the rich view them?
Few.
I think this last election, even though we all look at like, I'm not a fan of Trump, but as of this point, it's pretty much pushed the entire lower class to pretty much to be inside a very similar bucket.
But I mean,
which is pretty rare.
Yeah, but before then, no one even really considered thinking about like
that politicians are just grafting us.
Yeah, and we need to actually like
we need to take some of the money out of politics
because it's money out of politics. We need to actually like have a more of a disillusioned eye and not look at these people with such like
with any kind of reverence or anything like
any of that, because they're just regular people that are going to just say whatever they need to say to get reelected.
Their overall goals, which is to get really elected.
I have another random question that is kind of on this topic since we're talking about playing politics. Did y'all have to say the Pledge of Allegiance when y'all were going to school?
Yes.
Sometimes it stopped after a certain point.
I went to
Would y'all have y'all kids say it?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States.
I would use it as a different tool than most people would.
What do you mean?
I would make sure my children understand, like, one of the very first conversations that I've had with you, Tony, was something about dogged loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
And the entire point of the Pledge of Allegiance is to instill that in pretty much every single American that there is. And I would make sure you understand this, like, try and make sure my children understand this is something that you've probably say to them, but you probably tell them not to repeat. The entire purpose of this is to pretty much trick you into believing that we're the best thing ever. But we're not good at anything, really. Except for military spending.
But
we're real good at that.
Let's keep it frank. Because a lot of people have not traveled outside the United States. A lot of people haven't. And when they get to somewhere else, they act American. Let's cut the crap. I mean, people say these things, and they expect Americans are. And I've heard this from numerous of people. Even if you're Black, you're Asian, you're white, we have a certain thing about us where we inherently think, we are better. That's why I don't take this shit serious. Well, Black Americans like, man, fuck this country. I'm like, all right. But you are still spoiled in my eyes. I'm like, come on.
I mean, that's like saying, like, well, we're American poor. We're not like.
We are American poor. American
poor is very different from
exactly.
Nigerian poor, where you don't have power.
Exactly.
It's just like, what do? I live in a hut. I don't have power.
So I'm a little bit patriotic. I'm not going to lie to myself and say, oh, fuck this. And, just blah, blah, blah. Like what people like to do online. I'm just like, okay.
I'm
sure. Yeah. Whatever.
I mean,
I wouldn't have them say it because...
you don't have to.
I'm fully invested in like building my own country.
But my entire thing is just like, I've heard very, very interesting things. Like a friend of mine from college went to Japan
for like 10 years.
He was dating a girl from Japan, and he noted that he had problems going over to Japan as a white person because they just kind of loop all the white people in together, and they basically say they're all weebs. So it's just like, I'm sorry, what now? Yeah, they treat everybody like they're the weird dudes who like to wear those pink wigs and body pillows and walk around Japan.
That is crazy.
It's real odd. But it's not like they particularly like Black people over there, but they at least look at you guys like you have some modicum of sense. It's like,
I can see that.
Sorry, what?
And you look at white people like,
what do y'all out?
Talk to these Africans.
Just looking at them is just like, what are y'all out here doing? Nothing. Thank God.
We're just existing.
Like today.
Why can't the other people from your country just be normal?
Like today, who made my protein shake? He's from South Africa. I forgot which part. He told me. I forgot.
From the part that Elon Musk owns.
I asked him, so what you doing in? Because I can tell by his accent, sexy accent. I'm like, so what you doing in Ohio? He's like, I'm going to Notre Dame. He's like, education first. He always got a happy smile on his face. He's always, and I always tip him.
Well, they basically just got out of the civil rights movement.
Right, so they just happy to be here. They just like, oh shit, like he's always smiling. He always attentive. He made my shake fresh. I'm like,
I don't have to worry about I don't have to worry about being called like a kafir or getting my ass beat. Even though
no, it's just better opportunity. They know there's a better opportunity here. For some places, not all places.
But it's always a very interesting thing because actually spending time around more African people, I know that there is definitely, that's part of my entire problem with Dr. Umar is like African people don't like African Americans as much as you think they do.
No, they don't. If we, I had this discussion with my boyfriend. I'm like, oh, I want to take a trip to, Ghana. He's like, if you go to Africa, you are basically considered white. Yeah,
because you're American.
You're American. I don't talk Black. I mean, not in their native language. I don't.
You're not from here.
I'm not from there.
You're not even married in.
No. I am basically white to them, which is fucked up.
You don't understand any of the plights that we go to. You know what you're about to do? You're about to go home. You don't have to worry about any of these things. You can actually get the shots that prevent you from getting the diseases that come over here, which we can't even get.
Like, I go to the resort and I'm chilling. I have my $1,000 bottle. I'd be like, I'm one of you. Like, bitch, no, you're not.
I don't want to do this, but I'm going to defend Dr. Umar with the Pan-Africanism. Mm-hmm. I don't think necessarily that he believes that Africans like us. I don't think that's what it is.
I mean, he believes all Africa is one nation.
Like one same, and they're not. If you said that to an African, that's why I said I wanted to mention a country.
I also don't necessarily believe in the European draw lines of Africa because that doesn't necessarily function either.
No, yeah.
But it's like,
I think that it's more
absolving all of Africa of their different cultures,
religions, languages.
I don't think it's a want to absolve them of their culture, religions, or anything like that. I think it's more of a, if you look around the world, darker skinned people generally, especially the ones that come from the continent of Africa or have some type of descendant from the continent of Africa, seem to be the more lower class citizen in whatever society they operate in. Mm-hmm. So I think it's more of a point of all of just the diaspora of blacks actually having some semblance of a central identity. Yeah. And not necessarily say, hey, you can't have your own identity and culture, but at least have
we're all in this together.
Yeah. Hey, we're all shit on pretty equally for varying degrees of what they want to say is colorism.
Do you believe that Black Americans need to find their own identity outside of Africa?
Probably.
That's where I've said that before, and I got a lot of flack, and I'm like, we're really not African. We don't get me wrong, we have African descendants.
I don't think that, like I said, I don't think that being Pan-African should absolve you of your Black American experience. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think being Pan-African absolves you of your Caribbean experience or your South African experience. I think it's more of a acknowledgement of, hey, we've all been targeted for whatever reason, and might be more beneficial to band together in an overarching sense while still maintaining our own individuality.
But we shouldn't band together just out of struggle, you know? Just like you shouldn't get with somebody just out of struggle, like love. Like
I agree with that, but I also disagree in a way because that has been the way that we've seen
the most.
Yeah, like we can band together in a position of struggle. Martin Luther King get killed when he started to band all the poor people together.
Absolutely.
So I feel like you can band together and struggle as long as y'all aren't. You can't band together with the white people that are causing you struggle. No. Like, that's not going to. And so I think that's more of like the relationship where it's like you going to be in this relationship that is toxic to you, doesn't provide you any growth, and is unhealthy. Or y'all could be both economically disadvantaged, but y'all are both ambitious, push each other to like follow your goals, and are productive. So I think that just because you're disadvantaged doesn't mean that you have to be in a negative relationship. But I do think that what you're saying is, no, we can't be in those type of situations where if we're in a common situation where it's like, oh, we're also against each other, that wouldn't be beneficial. But I think that if we can all say, hey, let's say, no, we're not dealing with anyone that says being darker is an issue as dark-skinned people, period. Mm-hmm. I don't think that there's any like negative ramifications for anyone if we decide to do that.
No, I was just throwing it out. Oh, no, I'm not against you. What you're saying?
Oh, no, I completely agree. I do think that, but I do agree that Black people in the United States should have a more unified identity outside of that too. But that's why I said I don't think that we should like absolve our own Blackness from being Black Americans, because that's a uniquely different situation and struggle than being a Caribbean, born in the Caribbean, or being born in Jamaica, or
being Haitian, or being
so we all have uniquely different
African
struggles. So I
born
do
inside
think
of
that we need to
France.
figure out a way to
Yes,
Like-
we're all over.
Because
Our
the
niggas
funny
are
thing
everywhere.
is, do you guys remember when France won the World Cup and Trevor Noah said Africa won the World Cup?
I think
It was like
that it would be great
What?
if
the entire French national team was basically all from Africa. Like their lineage is directly
Oh,
from
yeah,
Africa.
but
So
they're-
he said Africa won the World Cup.
Yeah.
Because it's like, do you guys actually care about them any other time outside of this particular point in time?
Right.
It's like,
They're French every other time. Just like if Serena Williams won the tennis match. Do you think
US
Africa's gonna be like, oh no, Africa won? No, she's American. American won.
no, it's for them. If you can, I think it's different if you draw your lineage directly from there.
Africa. I
'Cause
get
don't
it.
like Giannis Antetokounmpo. Even though he was born in Greece, he very rarely calls himself Greek.
Okay, so he calls himself. I don't know. It's one of those things where I don't know. It's difficult.
I think that if Black Americans develop their own language, that would
Yeah.
help.
Separate people out. They
That-
keep stealing our language, Tony. Whenever we come, whenever we say,
She like, God damn it. If my boyfriend was like, God damn it, stop knowing shit. Like,
no.
They just
But I
say-
mean, like a real language, not a.
you think they wouldn't hijack the other language
well,
too?
Ebonics is a real language.
True. I think that it is, but I guess what I mean is a language that's not derived from English.
You don't think they would come up with that? It'd just be like, we came up with this. Just
Yeah,
like they
they
came
keep
up with
coding our
cornrows,
shit.
Tony, and dreadlocks.
Yeah, and I mean, you'll definitely get people to decode it. I think that the biggest issue would be getting Black people to adopt into something that
Learning a second language.
either that, learning a second language, or even if you don't learn a second language, being dedicated to teaching all future generations this new language.
For a good portion of Black people, say you can literally have all your drug buy conversation all over the phone and no one can understand what you're saying.
Because I feel like realistically, you can learn any other language as well, but it takes people's willingness to do so. So
Yeah,
you'd have to just get people
about an hour a day is
Yeah.
what it actually takes to learn another
but
language.
you have to get people to buy into that. But I also think that that's why we have such a hard time. Like, we don't have like any representation in like the UN.
Because
Yeah.
we're considered to be a
Not
part of the United
African.
States. Just like
we're
Tibet,
Americans.
just like Tibet doesn't have any representations at the UN because they are considered to be part of China.
Yeah.
Which, if we had a national identity, then we would be do more rights.
So you're saying by separating ourselves, we gain more.
I mean, because like if you're a Chinese American, when Chinese sit down at the UN, whatever decisions are made that affect them also have some bearing on Chinese Americans.
Well, the relation for Chinese Americans is kind of different because they have if you are a Asian national in any type of way, and if you can trace your lineage back to China at any point in time, you can flee to China and they will not extradite you.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so but that's what I mean.
Same for Japan or a few other places.
It's
Yeah,
kind of hard
you
for us
all-
to trace our lineage.
And so that's what I mean. Where if we just say, hey, let's stop trying to worry about tracing it back to Africa and create a new nation that would, like I said, allow us a lot more just
That wouldn't.
leverage and operating power, because then you have a collective voice that gets to sit at a table and speak. Whereas right now, we are a silent minority that just gets to watch shit happen. And
We can't. The problem is, like, I understand what you're saying, but there's no logical way of actually separating ourselves off in terms of doing stuff
Yeah.
like that. Unless
I
the
don't
only state or only place that we could take over
think
and
that
actually.
you need
I
to
mean, you can make
separate-
a commune.
Well, I don't, like I said, I don't think that you need to separate yourself. I don't think that it has to be that we leave America or anything as drastic or anything like that. I think it has to do a lot more with like how Katrina was saying, us finding a unified commonality in being Black Americans, us finding our nationalism in that and creating our own nation, because technically we're African Americans. Or like white people are the Americans.
Have you watched this
Every other thing is you're an immigrant American.
Have you watched this Wild Country on Netflix? It's kind of, I'm tying it into what you're saying. It's like a documentary where this cult of people create their own city.
Yes.
So if they still have to abide by United States law and rules.
Yes.
That's what you're kind of.
Well, not in a sense. Well, so you know how
in Georgia
so let's look at there's Chinatown, right?
Yeah.
And how when you're a Chinese American, you're Chinese and you're American.
Yeah.
When you're Jamaican American, you're Jamaican and you're American.
Yeah.
When you're African American, what are you?
Just really American.
Just really American.
But you don't count like that.
But I don't what?
But we don't
exist as we're putting this out of a bucket that we really don't get any of the actual.
So like when
advantages
Chinese Americans, they have like there's Chinatown, there's things like there's so you can build there's Little Africa.
That comes from immigration too. They were trying to build Little Africa, which they are.
But they're you can go to Little Haiti. Like if you go to bigger cities like in New York, there's a Little Haiti. There's Dominican District. Like you're going to be able to go to these places that actually have a level of. So it's not that I'm saying that we need to leave.
No,
we need to build identity, not necessarily in a city.
Quintessentially, what you're saying is we need to develop the space that we already have, which is something that we're not
doing
necessarily.
But that takes a community. They were trying to build a Little Africa in Cleveland. I remember I donated to them.
It takes a lot of. It pretty much. We don't own our own neighborhoods.
Nope.
Ad nauseum.
But a lot of those people that you mentioned, that comes from immigration. People having to put up money for the space that they can only get jobs in.
No, you're 1,000% right. But what I'm saying is, we didn't come here in the same fashion as them.
Yeah, it's a little different.
They came here, picked a spot, and said this is basically going to be
right.
We can now also, I think, we have enough space away from slavery and enough access to just informational resources where we can say, hey, all right,
but
while we didn't come here that way, what are the positive things that we can take from these other cultures and how can we enact them? But that's not something that requires community.
That requires community and a level of leadership that we don't functionally have right now.
I mean, we could functionally have it. It's just that our community is just so broken down to where people don't want to come together. Like I told you about that Little Africa thing. I donated to that shit. Like, people, when they see something positive, especially in our community, and I can recognize it, they don't pay attention. They like to pay attention to the bullshit. But it really, you're right, it takes community. And, hey, that's up to the Black community. Even with Dr. Umar wanted to start a school. Like, cool. None of those donations went to that damn school. This is why I have a problem with Pan-African people. It's kind of like they talk all that bullshit. That's why I can only take Dr. Umar in doses.
Well, see, that's why I said I only want to defend him a little. Like, I don't want to defend his character. I just want to defend Pan-Africanism as...
I was very surprised that he's on the Breakfast Club, because as of this point, it's just like...
He's on there a lot.
I understand, but have they ever held him to task for any of the things that he's done and where the money is?
No.
They asked him the first interview. He had some type of explanation.
But nobody pushes back on him. That's the problem. Because we want to hold these people. It was
years ago. I would have to just really articulate what I saw then. Because I remember hearing about the school. I remember him doing that interview and like kind of answering for it. And then I don't remember too much else after that. But I also have never been a big follower of Dr. Umar or any of the things that he's been trying to do.
The only reason why I know he exists is because of you and gifts.
Yeah, because I think that shit is hilarious because he's in his car and he's talking shit about people
donate $20,
not knowing anything. No, he's getting gifts. He has this whole big ass bag full of gifts, and he's like gifts, more gifts, donations. And so
he's always in that weird hotel, just
So I love that. That is my favorite. I have that on my iPad as for my soundboard.
I almost became a Pan-African. I'm like, I can't do this shit.
I'm not interested in it.
I like some of the
ideas a critical thinker.
As long as it's not. If it's the way that I said it, that I'm okay with it. It's not something that I'm necessarily interested in because I am more focused on Black Americans and
I don't need all the kente
struggle.
cloth. I don't need all the bullshit. I don't need all the periphery and bullshit.
Well, for me, I don't.
Kente cloths are beautiful.
I don't associate any of that with it because I feel like that is performative.
Yeah, that's all peripheral bullshit.
It's only if it's that philosophy, then I'm down with that. I can recognize that yes, most dark skinned people have been targeted for one reason or another. So if you think that banding together and trying to move against said targeting, I can't say that that is necessarily wrong. Now, if you're saying we all need to adopt African culture and
that's not our culture.
That's not what we grew up with. That's not who we actually are. And so that's then muting our ancestors that spend time in slavery and their legacy. We can't just skip over that to go back to Africa. Because while we are the descendants of them, we are also the descendants of slaves. And so
we're divorced. We're divorced from that, brother.
Yeah.
It wasn't our choice.
Yeah. So we have to build a culture that is nuanced and also accounts for that. And
do you think it's a thing where we cannot move on from that? I mean, I'm not saying that we need to forget, but do you believe that is a
issue
consensus to where a consensus to where we cannot move past that slavery mentality? You know, if us trying to come together and actually build it, so it's like, man, whatever, blah blah blah. And
I don't know if it's more that we can't get past it or more that they won't let us forget it.
I mean, I think our community does the more pushing of it than anything. I mentioned something. Well, what about 400? I'm like, wait a minute, what does this have to do with the conversation?
I would agree with that, but who greenlights all movies?
The studio company is run by white people.
What movies do they put out for blacks?
Slavery and struggle movies, and I pushed against that. But I've seen black people push that also.
But when they're the ones that are pushing that, who's telling them, yeah, that's the movie that can go? Because I know other black people are saying, hey, I want to show this other stuff.
Yeah.
But the only ones that are getting approved to be pushed through are the ones that show us in struggle or in slavery. So that's why I say that. Is it us being stuck on it, or is it them constantly reminding us, well, hey, y'all were slaves, and so it's it's constantly thrown in our face, and so you can't really forget. I think white studios
saying they're being progressive, too, in a way, but they're really not.
I don't necessarily...
Well, for some. I'm not speaking for every last white person on this.
I wasn't even going to talk about that. I'm just kind of looking at it as just you're just pretty much capitalizing on the struggle of ancestors.
Yeah, of course.
Because it's everyone likes to say we should move past this.
Just like they have.
But I think that's kind of like asking a Jewish person to move past the Holocaust. They have, but it's something that they're never going to forget.
The Holocaust happened in what year? 19...
Oh man,
I forget. 1930.
It's
20 something.
World War II.
Yeah. I mean, there's still grandparents that went through the Holocaust.
1939 and 1945.
That's pretty. I'm not saying
I mean,
Black struggle isn't real. We shouldn't discuss it. But I feel like that
More recency bias.
I feel like, because every time I mention something, or if I mention, capitalism and slavery, and I'm like, whoa. What does this have to do with the damn topic? So we're going to constantly use this excuse not to address certain issues and certain things that are going on.
I think that you're correct, but also incorrect.
Wow.
So I think that you're correct that a lot of people like to point at systemic racism and those issues when you talk about issues in the Black community. I think that's where you're correct. Because I think that they do go to, well, what about systemic racism? And you're like,
they get rid of self-accountability in its favor of blaming other people.
Well, I forgot what issue I was on, and it has something to do with
probably something about self-policing.
Economic wise. As far as working, and it was something. I'll bring it up next time, but I'm like, what does that have to do with self-accountability?
Well, like I said, where you're right is that a lot of Black people don't have a level of nuance to
Jinx.
I hate you. Recognize their own fuck ups and how they're contributing to this fucked up situation. Mm-hmm. But I think you're wrong in the fact that most situations can actually be attributed to systemic racism. But I do think that a lot of Black people conflate those issues, because what you want to talk about, it sounds like it's more of like Black accountability.
Yeah, how can we move on?
And what you're getting as an answer is, racism, slavery, and you're like, okay, I get that, but I want to talk about Black accountability. And so I can see where you're like, that's not the conversation that I'm trying to have right now.
They're constantly hitting you with a whataboutism. It's
which is not productive.
All right, why? It's just like, why are we inside of this situation? I get that we started out in a hole, but there's no particular reason that we needed to dig it any deeper.
Yeah.
Because it's like, we started digging ourselves out of this hole to begin with. Like, I saw it with my grandparents' generation in particular. Like, they all own their homes, they own the land that they stay in, they pay taxes and stuff like that. It's just like, and then my mother bought their house, but a lot of my mother's generation, they didn't buy houses at the same clip that our grandparents did. Mm-hmm. So why did we stop doing that? Well, it's just like, well, we don't really know why we didn't buy houses. It's just like, well, I mean, for no particular reason, because our parents' generation were the generation that went to college and they started the entire student loan gradient of them get schools costing as much as they do. But it's just like, so how do we get back on track? Well, systemic racism won't let us do it. Bro, there are a bunch of foreclosed houses in the hood right now. And they're you can get them for like $1,000, $2,000. So as a group, if we went through and started buying houses a block at a time.
And the bank will give you a loan to fix them up. People don't know about that. I posted about that too.
It's just like, now you could have conversations about, when it comes to Black people doing projects, there are studies being done, and it's hard for a Black person inside the exact same situation to get a loan from a bank than a white person. All right. Now, at that point, yeah, you're dealing with systemic racism. Mm-hmm. But you got to get to that point first.
You got to try. Like, I can't say.
You got to get to that point first.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, you got people saying, well.
You're defeated before you even.
I said, yeah.
You failed before you even climbed the mountain.
A Black person already posted about, how banks work and how if you get a loan off of that website, I can't think of it. So how's that needs fixing up?
God, reconstruction,
HUA or something like that. I forgot. HUD, yeah. You get a house off of HUD. You just got to live in it for 3 years. The people get like commercial property off of that shit. They fix it up, they live in it for 3 years and they move out and they rent it out.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's just like you got to be able to work within the system. And these are things that I've heard people talk about that they want to do, but they never actually functionally execute. And if you own the land that you live on, then there's only so much people can do to really get you outside of, outside of the egregious situations where they kind of blew up an entire block or set an entire neighborhood on fire. But there hasn't been one of those in a while.
Right. There's just so many resources now. We all got phones and internet, and you learn so much shit. It's just like, you guys, you have the resources in your hand.
But it's like, we have to come together. We actually have to functionally execute that is one of the ways that you build community.
Right.
Because if you all come together and you buy your community, as of this point where it's just like, oh, well, if we own all of like the major greater Cleveland area, well, we own the police force. Because if we all come together and we vote on the things that we care about, it's just like, so this is the way the cops are going to do things. This is the way the cops are going to do things because we own all of this stuff. It's all ours.
He's speaking facts.
At the end of the day, what are you going to do?
He's speaking facts.
Because we're the only people who can vote for you.
You own the community. You own the police force.
It's like,
holy crap.
I mean, you pay the taxes. You determine how much money they get. You own the mayor. The mayor runs the police.
Is everybody listening?
If you look at the mayor, like certain neighborhoods, yeah, there's nothing you can do about it. Like if you're rolling through Shaker Heights and you get harassed by the cops.
It is what it is.
But if you build up a community and everything that you need is within your community, you don't necessarily need to go out to Shaker Heights.
Imagine if people say, enough is enough. And they finally said, let's take back East Cleveland.
It's just like East Cleveland's there for the taking.
It sure is.
It's just like,
I mean, there's a lot of red tape. There's a lot of red tape. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of red tape.
You gotta fight.
I can't even hold son.
You gotta fight.
You got to figure out who actually is foreclosing on all this shit.
Not even that. You gotta fight Cleveland Clinic.
Yeah,
that's not East Cleveland. That's Cleveland.
They are working their way up
to East Cleveland. Really?
Oh yeah. No, they're trying. They're basically trying to build an entire.
Thank you for letting me know that. Oh, shoot.
There are people who are buying and holding on the houses currently because they believe
that's one of my plans.
I know. Like,
don't be giving out your plans.
Everybody I talk to hates wholesaling in East Cleveland because of the red tape. But now that I know that information,
why is there so much red tape in East Cleveland? Just because of the
POS? It's a lot of
finding the people that own the shit.
Yeah, people owe more than what the building's worth. It's a big ass headache. It's just East Cleveland would have been turned. It's just a lot of red tape.
Oh, so what you're saying is the downturn of the neighborhood hit all the property values pretty hard in terms of what people owe.
Yeah.
So that means there's a lot of random foreclosures around there. So it's going to the person. Yeah. Oh, I foreclosed on that property.
And a lot of times you can't even. I know people that do it. It's just it's a headache. The amount of money you get is not even worth it.
The time.
Oh, $1,000 here. No.
I mean, if you could pretty much turn like an entire block for $1,000 a pop on the block, then probably.
But we're talking about, Black people specifically buying back their neighborhood. Yes, that can absolutely.
It is just like I'm talking about down to the brick and mortar stores, the corner stores and stuff like that, because it's like I'm not against Asian people. I'm not against Arabic people coming in and they're building their businesses. But as of this point, they have businesses inside of our given neighborhoods and we give them the money and then they take the money out of the neighborhoods.
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying they shouldn't be able to get their bread. I'm not against them, but taking the money out of the neighborhood does not allow it to further circulate within the neighborhood. And those are also family businesses that they don't live inside the given neighborhood. So you back when my mother was a kid, all her neighborhood corner stores around Eddie Road used to be ran by Black people.
Yep.
And now they're not.
My mom used to live was it MLK?
It's
live around there. I think it's further down, but anyway, around Cultural Gardens.
Like, we can stop stuff like food deserts. We can stop a lot of the issues that we have if we just own our own shit.
I love how you put that, Charles. You own the neighborhood. You own the.
Can't put food in a desert.
You know what the fuck I mean.
Shut up, Tony.
I'm just saying.
This is completely and totally digressed from the random Kamala Harris and Kamala Harris Joe Biden conversation.
No, this has been a great conversation. This is exactly, and actually it didn't. I moved it into my other topic.
I'm terribly confused.
That's fine.
It's just
I have been doing
you
what I
have
want
to keep
do.
in mind.
Oh, I
It's
like
all
this.
behind. Everyone has to understand the whiteboard is behind me, so I just talk about things, and then
No,
Tony be
this is
sitting
a
up here moving around.
Great conversation
so
because
from
we
Kamala,
all.
we went into the next topic, which was the Joe Biden, the Kamala, we went into
Dr. Umar.
Yeah, Dr. Umar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
After Dr. Umar, I don't listen. I don't even understand how you guys actually really hear what Dr. Umar says, because I looked at him and I said, this is a man that I cannot take seriously.
But I think that also
He makes
this
points.
conversation was succinct enough to.
you can
but-
extrapolate
well-
because you're very much an anti-throw the baby out with the bathwater type of person.
Well, not even that. I also think that we don't have to go into the
Politics of the given person.
no Biden not doing anything for Black people.
We know that.
We can all say that this was something that was going to be par for the course.
I wasn't particularly planning on him doing anything for Black people currently as it
I
stands.
just told people that the reason that I didn't care if Trump won again is because I knew that the Democrats weren't going to do anything that was going to be useful to African Americans. And people were like, oh, that's crazy. And I was like, all right, well, go ahead and we can keep a calendar and watch. And y'all let me know all the things they do. And I'll check back in quarterly. Well, look, first quarter's over and look what didn't happen.
Well, let's see your second quarter.
See your second quarter.
See, I said
Yeah, that's all I do.
nobody got my vote last election. Let me just make that perfectly clear.
I'm the only person that did vote.
Second of
Yes.
all, I am not opposed to voting Republican. I'm not. My vote is for sale. So, Democrats.
I mean,
Chop,
quick.
chop.
I mean,
That's fair.
the thing is, my only issue is the bar is so fucking low now that it won't take very much for you guys for them to clear it.
Charles, chop, chop.
No, not for Tony.
Not for Katrina.
My bar has stayed the same level the entire time. I don't lower it every
They're
time.
not even doing the bare
When
minimum.
they don't meet the hurdle, I don't lower the bar to make it easier. I just be like, oh, guess you can't play in the NBA. Do they just make it easier for niggas to get into the NBA when niggas couldn't do it? It would be a shitty ass draft class, don't it?
This is what
Everybody I was like, these are just some terrible
is-
prospects. All these niggas gonna be out of here in 6 months.
This is what I was telling Black people. I'm like, y'all need to start putting y'all votes up for sale.
I mean, that's quintessential. Well, I wouldn't. Well, that's. Well, I understand what you mean, but selling your vote is illegal.
I'd be like, hi, Candace. How you doing, girl?
But my entire thing is just like, there are multiple bills that you could pass that were passed from the House that are in the Senate right now, but it's so weird because Democrats are so obsessed with maintaining decorum when you got an entire side that's not willing to do the same thing.
Yeah.
It's
You
just
kind
like
of respect it a little bit, like they don't give a shit. Like,
it's just
They
like,
said, what?
well, we just don't want to throw out the filibuster. The filibuster didn't save y'all none.
I will say,
It's just like,
I will say,
why y'all out here? Why y'all out here in a rock fight throwing snowballs?
Right.
Like, what are you doing?
The Republicans, I will give it to them. The Republicans, when
Just-
they
Just throw
say
it out and
something,
pass all the bills.
they
You
say
can do it all in the same
They
day.
say something, they don't backtrack. They double down on that shit. I just be like, God damn.
Racist, or no matter what they say.
Not all of them are racist.
I'm not saying every single person is racist, but they also all do benefit from they also do play people. They do play like race as a thing that is just like, because the Republicans are very much like, or they definitely do play the Bible. I will say that.
Trump Jr. just.
Like, these motherfuckers love themselves some Bible, but they will throw it out inside of a second if they feel like throwing it out.
Oh, y'all love the Bible. Y'all elected somebody that
Like,
pretended like he was Christian. Yeah, sure, I'm Christian. Like this motherfucker
like,
that had affairs, got married like 3 to 4 times.
It's like y'all really
had
don't
outside
care.
children. Like, come on, y'all. We gotta stop with the whole. Y'all ain't Bible busted.
Well, no, they care about Bibles as long as it will get them votes.
Yeah, of
and
course.
It's just like, I am anti-abortion. Why?
I mean, I have no.
Because the people that want to vote for me are anti-abortion.
Yeah, of course.
But that's not even a thing.
But
that doesn't make
sense. They actively, when they said, hey, we're going to try to ban abortions, they actively went after abortions. There was no, oh, yeah, we're going to try. No, line like that Democrat bullshit. What are you going to do for me? They play on their fan base. Just like Trump sat up there and said, okay, black people.
Did y'all want to talk about interracial marriage?
Sure, why not?
Sure.
Let's go. Come on.
Oh, that's where the entire Dr. Umar thing started.
Well, it was just, yeah.
Yeah, the interracial marriage thing.
Yeah.
So,
like I said, because I can kind of.
How do you feel about what Dr. Umar said, Charles?
See, the funny thing was, it wasn't actually really an attack on black women. It was more of an attack. Well, it wasn't. It was more of a critique on black men. Because at the end of the day, it was more so about black men who, once they get money, they marry out of black women for the most part. Which I can't completely and totally deny is a thing that happens. I was just making fun of Tristan Thompson cheating on his girlfriend, but the moment Tristan Thompson got that $15 million a year, he started dating a Kardashian and wasn't like running around with that random IG model who I think had his kid. Mm. So it's just like, it is a thing that men do. Now I'm pretty much on record. Race is not really a thing that registers on my radar when it comes to picking whoever I'm dating. But I guess I can technically be considered an affluent enough person to the point where I'm technically a part of the problem in that, I guess is the way he would put it. Because I stand inherent things. I stand to actually, my family had some type of legacy that I would actually be getting. And then I would be taking the little bit of legacy that we have as a black culture and then pretty much pivoted it over into white people. And then generating very confused children because they're like, having conversation with people who are mixed. I dated a girl who was mixed, and she did have some real like split brain black white type things, because like she was like she had like a little bit fairer complexion than I did. She wasn't like what as one would call her high yellow, but she's had the straight hair. She had all the stuff that.
Charles,
what?
You are really light.
I'm not light. I'm not that light.
I thought you were mixed before.
Charles is a really light black man. Don't let this man tell you.
I'm blackity black.
What do you mean she was lighter than you is what you're saying?
Yeah, so when
she was a little bit lighter than me.
She had the kinky hair, but she was...
No, she didn't have kinky hair at all. She had long straight hair.
Okay.
Like, she was of the complexion that if it wasn't the winter...
She could be like Armenian.
Yeah, or it would be like she had a really like strong tan. It's like, but her mom was blackity black. Okay. And her dad was white.
So you're blackity black?
100%. Freckles and all. My grandmother's black, my dad's black, my mother's black. Everybody's black all the way down through the lineage. There's no random splashes. It's just, yeah, as far as I know. Well, actually, I take that back. One person's native. My great grandfather is Canadian Indian. But outside of that,
y'all black
for the most part. Like, but if you look at my father, he's just like, because a lot of people say, "Man, your father looks Mexican." I guess
my grandmother tells people that she's black.
Really?
If you look at his grandmother, that would actually, you would probably have to qualify.
Wait a minute, when I first saw
your grandmother not black?
Wait a minute, when I first saw your grandmother, I looked at you and I looked at her, I'm like,
is your grandmother not black?
She is.
It's like you're sitting up here laughing to be like,
the lowest percentage of it. Like,
because like looking at your mama is just like,
Yeah, she black. I be like, your grandma. I be like, wait a minute, what happened? I'm confused. I'm not even gonna ask.
Like my grandmother is like 10% black at the most.
I love
and
it.
She
love it.
is fooling her black identity.
I
like
love
been black but her mama is black or ish. Like all her black people are like mixed. Like her daddy was like white and Indian or some shit like that. And her mom was like
she's so immersed in her blackness.
And black.
I mean, and she got all the bad parts. She ran into all the racism, not a little bit of it.
Yeah.
It's just like, I got the racism. I ran the racism gambit.
Yeah, she got with a black. Yeah.
And then.
So she black.
Yeah, she looks just like a white woman, though. If y'all saw her on the street, you would think that my grandmother was a Caucasus woman.
I never really even questioned it. It's just like,
I just roll with it.
It's just like
I looked away
because that's the weird thing about black people ad nauseum. It's like I had this conversation because I just figured I follow a creator on Facebook and he writes a book series and he just had to have this. Like he normally runs a political type of spear for like his fan stuff because it runs politics and like just things and religion in general don't really mesh well inside of fandoms. They're generally toxic enough as it is. So it was like this, but he had to have a giant spiel about like, I am black and killing black people is wrong. The fact that I have to say this is inherently problematic because he's a black creative and he was trying to create a webcomic and he was trying to find an artist that could draw his black character as if he was black. They would just draw him like a Norwegian character that had darker skin. It's just like, this isn't like, this is cool, but this isn't what black people look like.
You know what I dislike in art, in the anime art style for black people?
Yep.
You know how our hands have like a gradation to a lighter brown? They all just go to immediate, like, oh, it just immediately shifts. It's like, that's not how our skin works. It doesn't just shift to a different color.
My hands are, I have never, 100%. It transitions to a little bit for me.
Exactly.
It's like, it's there, but it's like.
Exactly, but there's no
there's
no
like
real
the worst.
shift. Yeah, it's like.
Can I iterate on the Dr. Umar thing?
Okay.
Mr.
Umar.
Mr. He has a doctorate and degree, so
Does he have a doctorate?
Yes.
Yeah, he does.
In what?
I don't know.
It was in psychology?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it was like something. He really does.
Also, my grandmother, just 1 second, used to do wild shit, like, because everybody thinks that she's white. She would like get hired places and then she'd be a good worker. They'd be like, oh, you should bring your friends. And then she'd bring nothing but black women into the place. And they would just be so upset with her.
I love it. I love your grandma.
She got hit on by a white guy that then started talking shit about black people and black women to her. And then she was like, well, you was just trying to get stuff from me and I'm a black woman. And so she still be some of the wildest stories. She's had a very
grandma is wild, man.
I do some wild shit.
That she could have lived.
The more I hear about every single family member of yours, it just all stacks up to you being who you are.
Right.
It's
your
just
grandma,
like
she could have lived as a
talking to your mother,
white woman. She's like, nah. I'm on niggas.
Talking to your mother. Now this makes sense. Now I hear this stuff. Everything stacks up. It's just like. Y'all like, I don't know how I ended up how I did. Like, no, y'all made them.
Yeah. And they don't take no credit for it. And I'd be like, y'all don't see how y'all act? Y'all, look at y'all. And y'all are surprised that I'm me. But okay, y'all got it. But yeah, go to your, because yeah, she definitely dated a black man. And that was definitely, because she like grew up in segregation and like having to go to different water fountains. So she could always go.
She could opt out.
Yeah, if she wanted to.
Yeah.
And so the fact that she didn't and then married a like dark skinned black man. Like my grandfather is like
black.
Yeah, darker than me. Like y'all know, you know Chris Cannon is?
Yeah, he's that dark.
Yeah, he's that dark. Yeah. And like a boxer, all kinds of shit. Just like real black man, real motorcycles. Yeah. So very interesting decision making on her part.
Yo, Dr. Umar Love, what you got going on over here?
Oh, but I was gonna, because I want to touch on this because I don't fully disagree with Umar when it comes to marriage being a contract. It definitely is an exchange of, you know, your finances coming together and you passing on wealth. That, yes, he is absolutely right on that part. I understand his standpoint on interracial relations as far as my wealth going, I want to build my wealth.
Yes.
So inherently, if I was to have a child with who I am right now, they will be in both communities. But I get it that he wants to keep the money inside the Black community. I get that part. He has a point. But at the same time, I owe myself to love. At the same time, I can't think about what everybody else wants. Because when you do that, it really, you're not living for yourself at that moment.
No, you're not. You're pretty much putting the wants and the needs of your race above your actual own personal wants.
And to touch on what you said, why he was attacking Black men, it was because that Black men tend to date out way more. And they, like you said, they take their resources everywhere else.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I want to debunk that.
I said date, not marry.
White men and Black women are the two groups that date outside of their race highest.
No, it's Asian and Black men. Yes, it is. Last time I checked, it is Asian and Black men that date out more than any other. That's why there was this consensus about Black women dating out more. They should, and we do not. We just started to. But as far as us dating within, we absolutely, and I've witnessed this in groups I'm in. I've witnessed this, you know, that Black women who refuse. They're not at all. They're more loyal. I will say Black women are more loyal than their counterparts when it comes to dating. As far as the race thing goes. I personally, I'm with you, Charles. I do not care. I am an equal opportunity person.
But I can also understand where he's coming from in the fact that, like, all right, the thing that he brought up was the Naomi Osaka thing. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, and for all intents and purposes, Japan's correlation with color is a very touchy thing. Mm-hmm. Because Japan and color, it is typically a very bad thing if you have any kind of color inside of your skin anywhere, inside of any kind of Asian country.
This is a long article. I'm not about to read all this. Like, it just kept telling me more and more, just like
because it's a very nuanced conversation.
This was recent. That
I'm not necessarily saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I can't find
the exact numbers because
I'll send them to you. But
I can't find numbers to support you, or I can't find numbers to support myself either. So. But
it's not. Black women typically
what I'm going to say is this conversation is inherently nuanced because as you remove one person from one side of the equation, the other side is forced to actually move and work elsewhere. So it's just like if the more affluent Black men leave, the more affluent Black women are forced to leave in order to if you want to actually find a counterpart who is of equal standing.
And people don't understand there's more Black women than there are Black men. So and with that conversation.
That's just true of the population
I mentioned
in general.
that, and then I'm like, so basically we're fighting for the same men. And I'm like, well, that doesn't really.
No, you got to fight for me. Fisticuffs.
I ain't fighting for no man.
Put the brass knuckles on both fists and start dishing out some justice.
Now,
like, yeah.
I don't know. It's one of those things where it's just like
I want a all-woman fight club.
I never. Because the weird thing is just like they're dealing with dudes is such a weird thing.
Like when Black men hear, typically the response I get either it's cool or why.
What do you mean?
Like when they find out who I'm with, it's either from black women or black men. Like, why are you? I'm like, because I want. Why does there have to be a?
You said from black men?
Both black men and women. Like, why date a white person? Blah blah blah. I'm like, why do I need a reasoning? Why can't I just be with this person?
Well, I mean, I think the meaning behind a relationship should be inherently self-explanatory. That person gives me the things that I need in order for me to feel fulfilled.
But they can't wrap their heads around that.
That's the function of a relationship.
This is just a regular relationship.
So if you don't understand the reason why you have this relationship, then you probably shouldn't be getting in relationships if you don't understand the reasons why you should be in them.
I think that's unfair.
What? You shouldn't be inside of a relationship if you don't understand the purpose?
Saying about the people that are asking. Well, I get that it can be annoying for you because you're the person that is being asked this question. But on the other token, well, this isn't necessarily your reason because I don't think that you have any issue with like black men, or you probably wouldn't be doing this show with two black men and shit like that.
Tony.
Exactly. But you can't deny that there are those women that, or men that like
choose white,
disparage their own race while choosing a white counterpart or a counterpart of a different race.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's more so why they ask you the question of, well, why are you with them? Where it's not necessarily like.
I think there's a nuanced way of getting it. I think
they're more so trying to ask you,
do you hate yourself?
Are you with them because you don't like black people? Which also is none of their business. But I can understand why they ask when it's like, all black men ain't shit, all black men are da-da-da. And it's like,
I've never said that.
Oh, no, I'm not saying, but I can understand, but you've seen, like, or you've seen black men say, oh, all black women are baby mamas, or they just, like, talk shit about black women in a very disparaging way. And so I can understand when black women come to me like, so why are you dating a white woman? Where it's like, so do you have an issue with us, or is it just that you found someone that you happen to love? But I also get where it's like the person on the other end of that question where it's like, one, this is none of your fucking business because this is my relationship and who I'm dating. And two,
right.
Unless I've come out and said that I have an issue with black women, y'all shouldn't just, or black men, you shouldn't just put that on me because I'm dating somebody outside of my race.
Right.
Like, that's not my burden to bear because you had that experience somewhere else.
Right. Like, I don't, like the other day, I was, my boyfriend's neighbor next door.
I was about to say a boyfriend next door.
No, oh, I wish. But no, Miss Louise, like, she was having a little get together. This was her birthday. She's an older woman. We went next door, started drinking, and her little ones came over. Her children came over. Her grandkids came over, and one of the ladies, like my boyfriend stepped away. He went to go take a phone call, and one of the girls like, "You dating a white boy? Why?" Blah blah. I'm looking at her. I'm like,
I feel like that's more of a conversation between women than it is men.
But
because I've never gotten it from men,
right?
As a man talking to another man,
but I've gotten hate from black men. Which I don't,
because dudes be getting bit out of shape.
I've gotten stares.
Well, no, what I think he was saying more so is like black men are generally hesitant to say something else. No, to say something else to another black man.
Yeah.
Right, about who they're dating.
Yeah, they're not really gonna like. No, because that's his business.
Do you think it's more socially acceptable for black men to date white women now?
I don't think it's more socially acceptable, but I think that there are certain groups that are inherently going to keep their mouths shut. I think that men, even if they feel a way about that, are probably going to keep their mouth shut because while they might feel emboldened to come and speak to a woman any type of way about what she's doing, they might recognize that type of conversation could come with some like physical ramifications.
Right.
Like you're not about to be talking to me like this, and I'm not gonna put my fist in your face because who are you?
Right.
It's just like
as far as the kid thing goes with children, I think mixed people should be comfortable being labeled as mixed. I mean, you're from two different worlds, and that's fine. Why is this such a, they have to choose who they are? Or?
Well, it's a weird thing because it's just like, it's luck of the draw.
Right.
Because depending upon what your skin tone ends up being is depending upon what you can pass as. Because if you're light skinned enough, you like, let's say for instance, even though LaMelo Ball technically is not mixed, LaMelo Ball could probably pass
as mixed. But just like you're not mixed.
Isn't he mixed? His mom is white.
Is his mom white?
Yeah, you haven't seen.
No, I could. Maybe I'm putting LeVar like Steph Curry's mom. Steph Curry's mom over there.
That's not. No. So Steph Curry's mom is black but looks white.
Yeah.
LaMelo Ball's mom is actually white.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like no. He is a mixed child.
LaMelo Ball is a person who could probably pass as white. Okay. He is very, very light skinned.
Right.
To the point, and he has curly hair, but he has curly hair in the way that a white person will probably have curly hair. So he could pass. So if he really wanted to, just like Tony's grandmother, he could opt out of dealing with the black things.
I just think while we're stepping in, I get back in the day, yes, I think we're stepping into even though there are issues. I'm not saying
that we're stepping out to a point where it doesn't matter.
I think because I watched it was with all mixed people and they were discussing this topic. And the reason why it came up is like, I don't think I should have to choose. And I'm like, they're right. They're right to feel that way. And I think black people inherently have this issue if they don't choose the black side. Oh no, you're black. And somebody says, well, I'm mixed. I'm half this, half that. I'm like, so why the hell do you feel offended that they do not want to choose? It's kind of like, for my son or daughter, I want them to be able to step into their own and be like, hey, this is my mom. This is my dad. I'm of two worlds. Yes, I know.
It's not necessarily about how they view themselves. It's about everybody else viewing them.
But they can't they can't rely on that.
I think people are upset because they don't choose black because they feel like blacks have been slighted so much that I get that this is a personal situation. And so for people it's people feeling it's like a lot like Christianity. Mm-hmm. People are Christians, but they do a whole lot of hypocrisy inside of Christianity. Right. But they get a whole lot of chastising you when you do something that they don't view as
Christian.
Like you'll have a preacher that's been divorced and got a new wife. And you'll have all these things, and they won't
money through the church.
But not even anything like that. Just doing strictly things that aren't like, so has a divorce, has a child outside the marriage, shit like that.
Messing around inside the church.
But they're not gonna say too much about that. But as soon as you bring somebody that
they will critique
inside the world of homosexuality in there, that's the line.
That's the cutting
point. And so that's what is kind of like for dating interracially. It's like, yeah, you can do all these other things that aren't going to be beneficial to like helping the black race, but you better not date somebody white. That's the one thing you can't do. It's like the one thing you can't do as a Christian is be gay. Right. You can do all this other shit and God's gonna forgive you, but if you gay, you going to hell and we don't know what the fuck's wrong with you. It's like, how did you get to this?
Why are these lives so arbitrary?
Like I'm looking at Gen Z, and the mixed population has gone up with their generation, and I think they're like how I view things. This is the way that they're starting to.
Hopefully, there will be enough of them to the point where they can actually
have their own category,
have their own identity.
Yeah, that's what I want.
But it's like.
But I hate when black people try or white people try to force. It's more so because I'm part of the black community. Of you have to identify as black. You don't have to do a goddamn thing.
Well, see, I see it in the white community as well. Where,
right.
I know for you because you definitely.
I mean, I'm gonna say something that not everybody always likes, but like technically there isn't. When you look at it and say, you can say, yes, I am white, but there is no particularly white culture. It's like there is an Armenian culture, there is a German culture, there is so on and so forth. So it's just like, well, I think people say that they're choosing to be white is just like, that doesn't even make any real.
Well, my boyfriend can't say, well, I'm fucking Greek. Well, have you been to Greece? No.
I mean,
he's not a part of Greek culture.
But does he eat
identifies as
Greek
white.
foods? Does his mother cook Greek things?
No,
It's just
no. He says he's white. Look, I say I'm black. He says
I
he's
mean,
white.
when you check off things on one thing's first.
Right.
This is the reason why ad nauseum I do not like. You probably shouldn't be checking off based off an ethnicity. You should probably be checking things based off of heritage and things of that nature because
look, I want
it's
him,
a very, very iffy thing.
Look, I want him or her to
Be boxed in.
love both her mom and dad, and both love both her mom and dad's where they came from, essentially. And I don't want there to be you have to choose. I don't want my child to have to choose.
Yeah, but the only problem is hopefully the cultures get to a point where they allow them not to have to choose, because it's just like that's what typically happens. Either you choose a culture or both cultures ostracize you.
I get
it's
it.
like,
but I just want my child to have self-confidence to where they be like, well, fuck you. Like, just like
ideally,
right.
yes.
Yeah.
But it's the finding your way part, which is typically a very temperamental thing, because it's just like finding your way is hard.
Yeah.
Even people suspecting me of being a mixed person is just like, well, you're not really black. It's just like, what does that even mean?
I'm gonna be real, Charles. I thought you were mixed. And when I first met you, but okay. But niggas are everywhere. I tell everybody, niggas are everywhere.
Like, that's the other thing that I like to tell. I make sure to tell people, black people don't look like any particular one thing just because you guys think they do.
Nope. We can be as white as fuck.
I can't dread my hair. Tony can dread his hair.
Yep.
And I have the
Tony
white
has
grandma.
more. Tony has more white in him closer than I do.
Sure does.
And I have the white grandma.
Look, I looked at your grandma like when I first saw your like, is that
I've
his grandma?
never even questioned it. That's his grandmother. Whatever.
No, I was like, who's that old woman on the couch?
Because it's just like with Jones.
And then I saw your
Jones
mama.
Jones has more white. Jones is mixed.
Uh-huh.
He has more white blood in him than I get.
Yeah.
Looks blacker than I do.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here with like loosely curled hair and freckles.
My child, I don't
dated
know.
a black woman that had natural red hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like
and blonde arm hair.
Yeah,
and,
just like I do. I have blonde. Like most people don't understand. I'm actually fairly hairy in terms of like arm hair and stuff like that. It's just all blonde.
I'm crossing my fingers that at least she or he has my features.
This shit.
Yeah.
It's just like
my jeans just take over
it's just like your jeans are too weak.
No, I have 4A hair. I have white. I don't. But hopefully, I don't know how he or she's gonna come out. I'm gonna be confused. I'll be like, well,
you don't have to figure this out, kid.
Go see Uncle Tony. He's like, hi, Mr. White.
With a white boy.
Hey, white guy, you're pretty fly for a white guy. Damn straight I am now. Go sit your ass down.
Mommy says I'm black.
Tell her not to lie to you anymore.
All right,
Go
guys.
have a seat, Meghan Markle.
The last thing that I want to bring up before we get out of here is all you guys that got them shots, how you feel about me being able to pop a pill at the end of the year for this COVID vax?
I'm fine.
COVID vax pill popper over here. That's what I'm waiting for.
I just got the shot a week ago, and I'm going to say something. I got my period that evening. I know it's too, y'all don't want to hear that, but I want to really speak on it. My menstruation was 11 days early. And I went online and I talked about it, and other women are having the same issue. Now, I am upset because that should be on the side effect list. And
'cause that could kill your child.
That could kill, that's hormonal.
I don't know if...
Well, I have heard them telling a lot of pregnant women have been worried about this.
Yes.
Oh, you're not supposed to take the shot if you're pregnant.
Beb, I'm not pregnant. What I'm saying to you is there's women that haven't had periods in 2 years because of menopause or whatever, that after they got that shot, they started to bleed. I, for one, I don't know what it did to my body. I don't know if it affects me hormonally.
What shot did you get?
I got the Pfizer.
Okay.
Okay. I had my period that evening. My period wasn't due for another week and a half. Now, I'm debating if I should get the second one because I don't know what it did, how it affected me. You know, I just want them to be open when it comes to women and their side effects. Like, yeah, it could cause hormonal imbalance. It could affect childbirth, whatever. That is something that I take very seriously. But I don't know. I just want to put that out there. Like, you know.
It's something I know nothing about. I got the shot. My injection site hurt a little bit. And
your arm hurt, yeah. But you're a guy. Like, there's women online and they're denying, and I'm like, no. There's no way that I had my period 11 days fucking early. I'm not stressed out.
Also, you have to understand that to a certain degree, people's reactions to medications are definitely different person by person.
But that should be on the list. Like, hey, may cause early. Well, I just want to be aware.
Well, that's the thing about it is just like, everything that happens during the medical trial is listed on that thing, but there still are things that the medication can cause a person's body to go through. But since it's not in trials, it is not required to be listed on the actual medication.
Like, I haven't had a heavy, I know it's TMI, but I've never had a heavy one like that in a while. I was miserable. Absolutely miserable. But that was just me.
Oh, I haven't had any. I got the shot. I'm feeling great. I can travel.
Yeah. I'll get it for that, but I'm just like.
Also, you have to keep in mind, I think it's going to stop being free before the end of the year.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, they're going to start charging people.
That's why I wanted to tell my boyfriend to get it.
I understand. I understand that for you.
Insurance for life.
I understand.
We're telling this to our listeners.
I'm saying I have free insurance for life.
I don't give a fuck about that. That's not going to change one
thing. That's really important.
How upset would you be if you showed up like, haha, I got free health care. Oh, we don't cover this. You motherfuckers.
No, you gotta get. Should have got it when it was free, bitch.
You had all this time. You thought you thought you're out here getting real greasy. You thought you were outsmarting people. Nah, bro. Guess what? Come out your pocket. $70 right here.
Well, I'm trying
now.
I'm trying to get my boyfriend to get it so we can just travel when willy-nilly. I don't feel like quarantine for 10 goddamn days while you spending a day in a hotel and shit.
I got it because there is stuff I want to do. I have to go get fitted for a tux pretty soon. I have a wedding that I have to go through.
Yeah,
and there's just shit that I don't feel like. I'm still not stepping foot in Florida.
Why not?
Because Florida's wild. And Florida is wild, and they still have not figured these things out. Disney World is open for no particular. Well, no, Disneyland is open. They still haven't opened.
People gotta make money, baby.
They can make money, but I'm not for making money at the expense of other people's lives.
Hey, that's their decision.
I mean, if you opt into it, go right the fuck ahead.
I've been vaccinated. I don't give a shit. I haven't got.
Yeah, you only half vaxxed.
I'm half vaxxed. I'll be fully vaxxed by May.
Oh, it's like you're gonna take that second shot in order to get that freedom.
I headed this far. It's too late by now.
I mean, that's the entire thing. As of this point, most people are getting it because I think they're starting to realize that they're not going to have the level of freedom that they want to have this summer without that shot.
That's what I told my boyfriend.
Luckily, Tony don't like going outside anyway.
I told my boyfriend, like, you might as well get it. You talking about traveling? Just fucking get it.
All my goals are buy a house, write a book,
all indoor related things.
That's it.
All indoor things.
More property. So traveling is pretty low on my list.
Man, it's high.
You know what I did for 6 years before I started this journey? Travel.
That's why. Yeah, so. I'm a no. If I
Tony's
could,
about traveled out.
I would be a nomad. Like, I'd just be traveling all over. That's why I want to have passive income so I can just do whatever the fuck I want to do and just leave. I have a passport.
I don't know. The dream is always for me to make some application, sell it for like Tom did Facebook, and then just walk away and do what I want for the rest of my life.
You mean MySpace?
Yeah, or Tom. Yeah, MySpace. But
what a genius!
It's just like it's really. Oh, what's Tom doing? He's a photographer now.
Oh, it's good for him.
It's just like he just wanders from
Everybody
place to
says
place.
poor Tom. I'm like, poor Tom. That motherfucker is taking care for life, man. He ain't got to do
It's
a
just like,
goddamn thing.
I have I can make a pyramid out of not even an eighth of my money. It's a giant pyramid.
Tom is living lavishly and staying out the way and don't have to deal with Congress and this shit. Tom won. Tom won.
I mean, the entire thing with social media dealing with Congress is they're not equipped to ask the question. Most people aren't equipped to ask the questions that they need to ask. So as of this point, they're never actually getting answers to the question because they're always asking wildly partisan questions.
They're gonna double down on them. So,
It's just like, why are Republicans being taken off these things? Well, they aren't. What do you mean? They're not being censored. Actually, we're more so censoring the black people that we're censored.
The motherfuckers censored. Yeah,
they're censoring the black people more than we're censoring you.
They censor a lot of truth tellers. My favorite YouTuber got fucking censored today. She just deleted her shit. She's like, fuck Instagram.
It's like we're censoring the sex workers. We're censoring all this other stuff.
We're censoring all the real
y'all
people.
Are cool. We kept Alex Jones on here. He was talking about frogs being gay.
Like what? Alex fucking
we're
Jones?
not really censoring them. And then
I thought they took Alex Jones off.
Well, it took them forever to take Alex Jones. It took them way longer to take Alex Jones.
Farrakhan off. They took a lot of people off. I'm like, yeah.
It took them a lot, but they're generally faster to crack the whip on some people than they are others.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like but Republicans are always saying like, when I Google myself, why does it say I'm doing a crappy job? Because people think you're doing a crappy job. Can you not have it say that?
No. That's what people
That's
think.
not the way that the Google algorithm works. We're used to change the Google algorithm. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. You guys don't even understand. You guys don't understand the field that you're actually talking about.
Allegedly doesn't work online. I can say whatever the fuck. Now you can't.
But anyway.
That's all I had. COVID pill.
Wait a minute. Banning of cigarettes real quick.
Oh yeah,
banning of menthol flavored.
Banning of all menthol and
they're just getting rid of flavored cigarettes. I have no problem with that.
Newport.
What? How can you
say you can't
socialism?
That's not socialism.
Trying to control people.
That's not controlling anyone.
It is controlling. That is very controlling. I'm sorry. It's very controlling to me.
Oh, I have no problem with people getting rid of the flavoring in cigarettes.
I mean, that's a personal decision. You want to smoke. You can't smoke in certain areas.
Well, the question is, why are you smoking? Are you smoking because you like to taste the menthol, or are you smoking because you want cigarettes?
Nah,
it doesn't really affect you.
They gotta cut them off.
No, they ain't gotta cut them off. That's their personal decision. If you don't want to be around cigarettes, don't be around cigarettes.
No, you can't.
Well, no. As of this point, this doesn't change anything. You can still smoke cigarettes.
But menthol, that's just step one.
I think they gotta stop because it's an addiction.
I mean, you can think how you want to.
And they can't.
People should stop drinking alcohol too, because it can be turned into an addiction. That's an addiction. Right?
I mean, but alcohol is
but I mean, like, there's stuff literally put into cigarettes to make you addicted. Like, you have to choose to consume excessive amounts of alcohol to become like.
Couldn't they say the same thing about weed? Couldn't they say the same thing about?
No, there's no.
It's been disproven that weed is a gateway drug or addictive.
It's not addictive at all.
Now people can develop.
Addictive.
Well, people can develop a codependency on something.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you can't.
It doesn't
I would even
describe change anything in your brain like how the nicotine in cigarettes does.
Right, but I mean, now it's a little too late.
You don't go through weed withdrawal.
If they really were concerned, they would have been banned menthol cigarettes a long time ago. If they were really, that's why I think it's a bunch of bullshit.
This is arguably. I guess this is technically the first bill that they've done that's technically targeted black people because. For the most part, black people disproportionately consume menthol-related cigarettes.
just another way to find black people. Just another way to put black people in jail. It's just like,
oh no, what they're saying is they're not allowed, but no one's allowed to produce menthol-related cigarettes anymore.
That's stupid.
So there will be no more Newports. Everyone will be smoking cowboy killers.
I mean, no, there won't be
Menthols
I mean,
were the
Newport
best
probably
when I
just
was
switch over
smoking.
to it's non-menthol because they do have a non-menthol.
When I was in the military, Newports were my shit. Pack a day.
Oh,
it's not good for you.
Keeps the bullshit away.
I've never actually smoked this.
Pack a day does
That's a
not keep the
lie.
bullshit away.
I have smoked cigarettes before, but it's just like that is a seriously odd situation.
I also had a half a pack a day, and I quit. I actually quit. Yeah, it can be. It can be addicting.
I think I was around with Ballister and a lot of those people. Then they had like the novelty ones where you could crush the filter.
Cigarettes are so nasty.
They are.
I only like Capone's and not Garcia.
That reminds me, I need to go get some cigars for.
There's
I love
another
cigars.
cigar brand, but they're all dipped in like cognac and things like that.
Ooh.
So the filters of them taste like candy. So I would hit those until the filter didn't taste like candy anymore.
And then
Now,
throw 'em
I don't want this anymore.
I love a good cigar.
And that's what most people believe are the problem. They're there for the menthol, not for the cigarette. It's just like, menthol. You know, there's other ways of getting menthol. You know, there's other ways of getting menthol, right? There are. Maybe. Yeah. They're not banning menthol.
It's gonna be a lot of angry older people. I know that's
Oh no, there's gonna be some angry people right upstairs.
Yeah, but we got to get rid of these cigarettes. They're bad for you.
Tony been trying to get his entire family to quit cigarettes for forever.
Yeah, it's all about
he's down with it.
I'm gonna be the I'm gonna be selling menthol cigarettes.
Oh
on the
no,
Lola.
there's gonna be a run on freaking Newports like you can't fucking believe.
You know what
you want Ash to
the
wholesale
Ma'Khia
something?
used to do it. Yeah.
All right, we'll catch you guys later. Bye.